By the end of my speech today, I hope all of you will be convinced that homework does not have a significant effect on the way students learn. Therefore, teachers should limit the amount of work given. I am speaking to all of you today regarding an issue on homework in schools. I have heard many students talking about how they do not benefit from the work they are putting in. I would like to bring this to your attention. I believe that giving a student an excessive amount of homework and not allowing time out of their school day is unacceptable and needs to be changed. I am sure all of you in the audience today have struggled with completing your homework at some time throughout your schooling. Whether it was just because there were so many questions you did not feel it was necessary to complete them, or it was because you simply did not have enough time in your day to fit in homework. Either way, I believe that changing this problem would help all students get through schooling by learning more and stressing less. I am a senior at Western Dubuque High School, and I am also a 3-sport athlete. This means that I have a tight schedule, and this does not allow for very much free time, which makes doing homework difficult most nights. I have done some research on this specific issue, and from what I have gathered, there are many different studies that show people's thoughts, reactions, and opinions on students and the importance of homework. Throughout this speech, I will allow you to take a look at the ongoing issue involving homework that has been occurring in schools and provide solutions to help minimize this problem. Some people think that students benefit from doing their homework, but most of the work they do is just busy work that they complete by going through the motions and not actually comprehending what they are doing. There was a study done on the time students spend each night doing homework. According to an article written by Brian Gill, Harris Cooper of Duke University said the 10-minute rule should be set in place for every school. The limits of this rule allow for the time spent on homework to be 10 minutes per grade, meaning that first graders would spend 10 minutes, second graders would spend 20 minutes, and so on. He created this rule because he found that there were students averaging 3 to 4 hours of homework per night and only averaging 6 to 7 hours of sleep per night. If students were given a limited amount of homework, they would be more likely to attempt the work. Instead, when students are given stacks of homework and they do not have enough free time, they completely skip out on homework. If this rule does not get set in stone in schools, students will continue to spend all of their time on homework when they could be volunteering or experiencing real-life situations or even spending time with their family. In result, for students spending all of their time on schoolwork, students in extracurricular activities are not able to spend enough time with their family. As a student athlete that also has 2 jobs, my free time is very limited. In my free time, I would love to spend time with family and have more of a social life, but instead I am forced to use my free time to complete my schoolwork. Janine Bemichat, who studies how homework affects children, wrote an article titled "The Case for Quality Homework." In this article, she said that not allowing students to have downtime can also lead to them becoming stressed, and this can eventually lead to depression. I would like you to take a moment to look at these 2 pictures. In the first picture, the student seems very stressed out and not happy about what they are doing. In the second picture, the student looks like they are content with learning. By a student wanting to do homework, it allows them to want to learn, making it better for everyone in the long run. By looking at this research, I have come up with 2 solutions to minimize this issue. The first would be to add another class period onto the school day and allow students to go to their teachers every day to get help on their schoolwork. The second option would be to add more time onto each class and make it a requirement for each teacher to give work time during class. By using these solutions, students would grow and become more educated in a more efficient way. If students were given either option, they could then use this work time to ask questions to the teacher when they got stuck. According to an article written on Newsday, the Keno School, which is located in Arizona, allows their students to get homework done within school hours. Annie Mitchod wrote that if you gave students work time, they would either practice their work or they would waste the time given talking to their friends. But by allowing your students to have downtime, It then prepares them for their future and would help them to develop time management skills and discipline habits. I would like all of you to take a moment to think about what would occur in schools if one of these options were set. Imagine how much more students would benefit in school if they were well rested and were able to focus on their personal life the minute they got out of school. If one of these plans were put into action and students had extra time throughout the day to work on their schoolwork, they would have time outside of school to think about the other activities that are going on in their life. If students were not distracted by these thoughts, they would also be able to get more out of the lectures and the time that is already given to work on schoolwork. Overall, if one of these plans were applied to schools, students would be able to relieve the stress that they are undergoing, and they would have more time to enjoy the best years of their lives. On the other hand, if neither of these plans are able to be used in schools, education will continue to be the same as it has always been, and students will complete the assignments instead of actually learning step by step of what they are doing. The only way for these solutions to possibly become an option for schools to implement is with your help. If each of you were able to write one letter to each school board member and petition for one of these plans to be put in action, one problem that schools have been facing for generations will finally get to an end. Without the help of all of you, this problem will end up staying the same. Our students will continue to go through the motions of learning the steps, and education will not progress. The letters you will write will push for education to improve. In this speech, I talked about how giving a student an abundance of homework does not necessarily mean that they are learning from the work they are doing. I outlined 2 solutions to this problem and discussed what were to happen if the solution was used and what were to happen if the solutions were not used. Finally, I provided all of you ways that you will be able to reduce this problem in schools. The next time you have an assignment, I challenge you to think to yourself, is this actually going to help me out in the long run, or am I just wasting my time trying to finish this assignment?